Hello everybody, I'm Lee Fitzgerald. I'm your subject coordinator for this subject, and I'd just like to welcome you to the subject and also to the course. I've been a teacher librarian for a long time, as you can probably guess, and I've been a lecturer at Charles Sturt this is my 5th year, a long time now. I'm a fan of inquiry learning, especially guided inquiry. And I'm just going to try and do a regular short video just to talk about where we're up to and to address concerns that we might develop. So welcome. I hope you enjoy your studies. ETL401 is about the role of the teacher librarian as information specialists and teachers of inquiry learning and fosterers of a lifelong love of reading. It begins with the nature of information as the bread and butter of our role. So the subject looks at what we teach, the nature of information literacy. Finally, it looks at inquiry learning, supported by an information literacy model, about which you're going to learn all about. So you have 3 tasks to do in the subject. And the first one is coming up relatively soon. Not that soon, on the 5th of March. It doesn't have any marks allocated to it, you'll be happy to know. And it asks you to create a blog on ThinkSpace and to do a reflection on how you think the role of the teacher librarian is perceived by parents and community in your school. If you're not in a school, just consider a school that you know of. Okay, so that's due on the 5th of March. So really it just asks you to go into the introductory module, which will give you detailed instructions on how to create a ThinkSpace blog and to create it, and just to begin to create it really, because you're going to be using this ThinkSpace all the way through your subject, all of your subjects for this course. And what it ends up being is a really nice reflective tool that you add to write through every subject, and in the end it's a record of your learning, and it's really nice to have. So but when you're just starting, do it, just get going and start to create the blog. You can fiddle with the details of it later. Okay, so that task is due on the 5th of March, and then the second task, but the first one that has marks allocated to it, is a literature review, which is due on the 2nd of April. And before then you'll have an online meeting that I'll deliver, and you'll have the discussion forums, and you can always email me and so on. So it's a literature review about information, an information issue, because this subject begins with information as the most important aspect, the bread and butter from which the rest of our role arises. If we don't understand information, its nature and how to manage it, then, we're missing a really basic ingredient of our role. Okay, so it's a literature review on an information issue, and this group of students is looking at information future-proofing. So that's going to be really interesting to do, and it's really independent in lots of ways, because you get to decide which particular information future-proofing issue you're going to choose. So there'll be a lot of help with that, so don't panic, all's well. And that's due on the 2nd of April. The third task takes you into a practical element where you're looking at inquiry learning and information literacy models. And what we're doing is creating a hands-on task, which is an inquiry learning unit. An inquiry unit, and this particular cohort of students is looking at the technology subject in the Australian curriculum from kindergarten to year 10. So you'll place your unit in technologies, which is going to be interesting. And that particular task finishes with a critical reflection on what you've learnt about the needs for an information literacy model as a process to underpin inquiry learning. So that's the whole thing. There's going to be 4 online meetings. Hold on while I get the information in front of me. And because there's quite a lot of you, there's some 160 students, what I'll do is deliver the online meetings, but I'll also have some chat sessions organised around parts of the alphabet so that we can have smaller groups in chat sessions close to the assignment due dates, so you can ask me any questions that you might have. So that'll be good. Okay, so it's not quite week 1, and if you haven't done anything, don't worry, it hasn't begun. But if I were you, this is how I'd begin. And especially as it comes into week 1 at the end of this week, I would get the subject outlined down from Interact, and I would extract the schedule from it. And that's the chart that tells you week by week what's happening in the subject. And that's really useful to have in front of you so you know what's due and what's on. Today I put the 3 assessment tasks into the resources folder on Interact. And if you just go and have a look there, you'll see that they're in a nice Word format instead of what you might get when you download the subject outline, which sometimes goes a bit wonky when you're trying to put it into Word. So get them from there, from the resources folder, as you need them. Okay, so all you need to do really this week is go into the discussion forum, the first one, which is called Student Cafe, and just introduce yourselves. And it's a nice idea to put your postcode in the subject space so that you can see other students who are working in the same area as you. I live in Sydney, in Mossman, and I work from home. So I'll put 2088 into when I introduce myself. So for getting ready, I would also consider the ThinkSpace instructions in the introductory module. And just remember, it doesn't have to be perfect first go. And it's a great thing to play with and make it perfect as time goes by and make it nice and creative. Okay, so you'll have the reflection ready on how you think the role of the teacher librarian is perceived by parents and community in the school by the 5th of March. Okay, so that's still quite a way away. Here we are, the 20th of February, and it's only a small task with 500 words, no marks, so don't stress about it. It is put into the grade book as satisfactory or unsatisfactory, so it is something that you have to do, but it's not allocated a mark. Okay, so you might have noticed already that in Interact, I've put a Google document there with called ThinkSpace URLs. So as you begin to make your ThinkSpace blogs, can you please put the URL into that list? That'll be really good. And then closer to the date, the 5th of March, when the blog is actually due, I'll then put in another column into the Google document where you can indicate which person you're going to do a peer review of. And so that should work. Okay. And so really all I wanted to do was just say welcome, and I hope you enjoy the subject, and I hope you enjoy being a teacher librarian. I must say I always have. So more later. I'll try and do videos fairly regularly as issues arise and so on. So thank you.